Hey chicken eggies, it's Schwally. I hope you guys are doing well. I think I will have recorded a separate intro. So let me just get you into this PowerPoint because once again, of course, I've made a PowerPoint. This is like how I organize my brain as a quasi-academic human being. I couldn't come up with a good title for this show. Because I wanted something to rhyme. I wanted it to be catchy, couldn't figure it out. So instead we have a temporary title, but I will tell you to brace yourself while I make the case that Making Grace Vintage claims are out of place. Okay, so as per usual, here are my disclaimers. I am not a medical professional, nor am I speaking in any professional capacity. All opinions are my own, subject to change. As your opinion should change if you get better information, which I'm sure I will, because I just did like internet sleuthing all by myself. It's not like I interviewed these folks to get their perspectives, or like I didn't hunt down the relevant parties. I just like sat over here on my computer and I did the tippy tappies, and this is what I found. I don't think I have any peer-reviewed research that I reference here, but this point is important. Please do not take this content as a call to bully or harass anyone that I mention or insinuate exists either on the internet and definitely not in real life. This is not a petting zoo. Do not touch the poop, as Cece Suarez would tell you. And I am going to be using clips in today's video from the two individuals that I'll be talking to you about. Those videos are their own. Their TikTok handles are on their videos, and I will be not intending any copyright infringement, but I will be providing meaningful commentary that transforms their content into something that I'm using for commentary and criticism and education and perhaps a little bit of entertainment. So let's go. So who are we talking about today, guys? It's not in the title. Well, I mean, it's probably in the title of the YouTube video, but it's not in the title of the PowerPoint because I couldn't find a cute way to say this. But we are talking about Stephen and Jennica and Stephen, whose handles on TikTok and on whatnot are making_grace_vintage, making grace vintage. That's Jennica. And Stephen, her husband, is live_seller pro. So, part of the reason that I decided to actually include their names, and not just like blur out the videos of them speaking, is because they are presenting as a public figure. As you can see here, this is a screenshot from their Facebook page. Like, they have a Facebook page that I don't think has been active for the last like 7 years. I feel like it was last active in like 2018. Don't quote me on that. But because they are presenting as public figures, I decided to go ahead and not blur their faces, not hide their identities. And Jennica and Stephen, if you're here, hopefully you can see my rationale for that. This is not a hit piece, and this is not like designed to send, again, as I said in my disclaimers, it's not intended to send any hate in your direction. It's just, I got interested. So let's go into the key players here. So here's Jennica. Does this picture look a little blurry to you? It looks a little blurry to me. I love her pink hair. I think Jennica should continue coloring her hair as long as it makes her happy. I think it looks so cute on her. And I used some like bright pink throughout the presentation just in honor of Jenica's adorable hair. So Jenica's bio reads that she loves Jesus, motherhood, and that she is a live reseller pro, or maybe she's referencing that she's married to the live reseller pro. I'm not sure. She says on her profile that she has over 6 years of reselling experience. She is at 16,000 followers now as of today. What's today? Today is September 17th. It's 11 in the morning on Wednesday. We'll see when you guys actually see the video, but she does have 31,000 sales on Whatnot over that. And she has definitely hit the 16,000 followers on Whatnot. She has 6 children. And she also just announced in her recent Whatnot video that she is now in the creator program on TikTok. So she is earning money through TikTok. So that's cool too. Now our other character here is Stephen, which is her husband. And I think this is her second partner, like long-term partner. Either he has kids from her previous marriage or I feel like maybe they have 2 kids together and then she has 4 from her previous marriage. I don't know. It's something like that. Like I said when I did my Nicole State video, I'm not like in these people's business. Like I'm not stalking her like Instagram and Facebook and watching all of her TikToks and going into all of her live shows or anything. So I don't really know what their family situation is, but I know that like this is her husband. This is Stephen. Now, I remember, because I have been in shows with both Jennica and Stephen, I remember some things that Stephen has said about himself, but I wanted to like do some more research. So I looked on LinkedIn, and that's where I found that he's an account executive for some AI software development company since 2019. But what I remember him telling us in one of his live reseller masterclasses on Whatnot was that he quit that job where he was making 6 figures so that he could support Jennica or do the live reseller pro classes or something. I don't know. He did write an ebook on live sales, which I did purchase a while ago. I'll share with you some details from that. He said that at his last job, he was like a trainer or a sales team leader, and that every team he ever joined, he coached them to being the best sales team in the company or the best in the states or the best in the world. Like, I don't know. He made some big claims about having coached his teams, and he was kind of the special sauce that would take a sales team that wasn't doing well, and he would kind of propel them to success. I'm not sure why he hasn't updated his LinkedIn, but to be fair, I haven't updated my LinkedIn. So it probably just says I have like a bachelor's on there, and of course now I have a doctorate, but that's besides the point. Okay. His main claim to fame, I think, is just that he's Jenica's husband. Okay. You'll see kind of a theme from me throughout as I start providing more like personal commentary instead of just giving you the facts. I think Jennica is a talent. I think Stephen is married to the talent. I don't know. Okay. You'll see as we go through this, and maybe you'll have different opinions than mine. Probably you'll have different opinions than mine, but anyways, that's what Stephen looks like at the very least. Okay. So when you buy the ebook, which I did, okay, here are some quotes from that ebook. The first one is, this is talking about live sales, right? Live reselling online, which I do on Whatnot, and a couple of other platforms. Quote, you've got a once in a lifetime opportunity to create a business that doesn't just make money, it prints it. This seems like a wildly big claim to me. I feel like when I look at the pitch and the way, I don't know if you guys also watch like multi-level marketing company kind of like content online, but I feel like I see a lot of themes from the multi-level marketing world. And if I'm correct, these folks live in Utah, and Utah is both Mormon country and multi-level marketing company. And the two of them go hand in hand. There's a YouTube video that I can link for you guys about that. She contends in the video that MLM could also be considered Mormons losing money. And one of the things I will say I'm so grateful for is that Jennica is not an MLM hun. She is a genuine business owner with her own like system and model. So, but in a lot of Stephen's language and what he produces, and even in the way that Jennica speaks, I think they use a lot of this multi-level marketing kind of language. where the claim is just really big and then your actual chances of success are just, the claim is just bigger than the actual opportunity is, in my opinion. So the next quote here is that in the Live Reseller Pro Playbook, which is the ebook, we'll dive into the mindset you need to become a top 20% live reselling professional. And then according to the ebook, based on like the like annual global revenue or US revenue, if you were in the top 20%, you would make an average of $38,095 per year. So that's kind of what they're saying is if you read the ebook, you're going to end up in the top 20% where you're making $38,000 a year, which is, I think, just above the national average or national median income, which is somewhere in the like $34,000-$36,000 a year. So not a terrible claim. Seems pretty reasonable to me so far. So it just seems like those two terms are at odds with each other, those two quotes, because if I could just print money, I wouldn't be looking for an average income of $38,000 a year. I don't know about you. And depending on who you are, money means different things, right? But like if I were looking for a job that printed money for me, I would be asking for at least six figures. In this economy, I'm not asking for an average of less than $40,000 a year. I'm looking at like $70,000 to $170,000 a year because I know how expensive it is to live out in these streets, and I'm just saying $40,000 is not going to cut it for me. So I hope you guys like my GIF here. One of the big points that these two folks continue to make, Stephen and Jennica, is that live sales and traditional sales are very different, and you need to have a different mindset for doing live reselling compared to traditional selling. In this GIF here, live sales would be the GOAT, and traditional selling on like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, Depop, Facebook Marketplace, those would all be the traditional sales that are getting knocked on their ass. That's kind of the paradox that Jennica and Stephen set up, is that these two things are very different, and they claim that live selling is better. And I'll let you hear it from the GOAT's mouth. Let me see if I can figure out how to play this.
Most resellers don't realize that traditional reselling and live selling aren't even close to being the same game. Listing to eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, Depop, it's like a vending machine business. You fill the slots and you wait for people to walk by, and hopefully they're searching for what you've got. Live selling is like running a full-on restaurant, and you're the chef. You find the ingredients, you prepare them, and you present them in a way that creates an experience for buyers to come back to again and again. Look, there's nothing wrong with having a vending machine business. They can be really successful. But when's the last time you referred your friend to an awesome vending machine that you found? But if you find a really good restaurant, you're going to tell all of your friends about it. And that's the power of live selling. You're creating an experience for people to come back to again and again. So, which one do you want to do? Let me know in the comments. Follow for more.
Okay, so according to Stephen, the GOAT in this situation, live selling is like running a restaurant. You're the chef. You're going to custom make the food for your clientele. And if you run a really successful restaurant, people will refer more customers to you because it's more of an experience compared to a vending machine. And I think part of what's interesting here is the analogy kind of sets up like, I think he's going to make this point more in a moment, that according to them, live sales is more of a process-based business. It's more about the experience, and traditional selling is more about the product. I'm not sure. I feel like this is a nice sounding analogy and it hooks people. I'm just not sure how relevant it is, because yeah, in the analogy, both times you've got a hungry person and you want them to have a great experience. Now, the thing is, in Japan, I've heard that vending machines are like a full-on experience. And, you know, I feel like if you go to a bad vending machine and it's broken, you know, you might tell your friends on campus, like, hey, don't go check out that vending machine. Like, that one was terrible. Or if a vending machine has a unique product, people might go out of their way to get to that vending machine. So for example, if it's like a limited edition flavor of Alani New that's in the vending machine, yeah, people will go out of their way to get it if the product is worth it. And they'll tell people about it. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad analogy. I'm just not positive how good it is for live selling. I think the general point is, though, one is more of an experience, one is more utilitarian. And if you have a good experience with live sales, you're more likely to tell people about it because it was a positive experience. Now, I don't know how often I make recommendations to people in general in my life. And as a business owner, I don't stake my success or failure on whether my customers are going to refer other customers to me. You know what I mean? I do want repeat customers. I want you to come back to my restaurant or my vending machine or whatever it is. But I don't really rely on word of mouth to build my reselling business. So I think that's probably the main point that I'm taking from Stephen. And I'm thinking, like, you know, I don't wait for customers to tell other people about me. I kind of take it upon myself whenever anyone new comes into my doors, whether it's my restaurant or it's my vending machine business, and I take the opportunity to make sure they have a great experience either way. So I don't know. All right. Let's just move on. So here's the paradox. I recognize that my face is in the way here, but on live selling, according to Stephen and Jennica, it's a process-based model, and according to the ebook, you're able to scale your business as much as you want. I guess goats scale mountains, so sure, there's my analogy working into his. And then on the other hand, traditional sales is a product-based business, and you trade your time for money. So that's kind of, again, the dichotomy that the two of them are setting up. And in general, you're always going to find Stephen promoting live sales as opposed to traditional sales. And let's listen to the goat one more time as he explains to us what the process is, because again, live selling is a process-based model. So here I have a gift for you from the almighty dodgeball. You're going to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and then also dodge. You'll see how this makes sense because all of the steps in the process are alliterative, just like the dodge, duck, dive, dip, dodge dealio. So once again, let's listen to Stephen explain to us what the process is that he promotes.
This one thing I'm about to show you is going to help you to unlock problem areas in your reselling business.
We call this the 5S cycle. It's a way that we've broken down our business into its 5 components so we can identify where our problem areas are and where we can improve. Check it out.
This is the 5S cycle, okay? So first you source. This is where you find your goods. Next, you stage. This is where you clean up your items. It's also, if you're doing live sales, it's where you clean up your environment and you clean up yourself. Then we do a show. If you're a traditional reseller, this is where you actually publish your listings. Then you ship your items, where you deliver the items, get your items delivered to your customer. And then the last S is story. Story is 2 parts. It's your internal and your external story of what's happening in all areas of your business. Internally, that's going to be your numbers. It's going to be your journaling so that you understand what's working well and what can be improved upon and what you're going to do differently next time. And your external story is just where you document what it is you're doing. If you are new to it, don't worry about posting your stuff to social media or anything like that, but document everything that you're doing because it'll come in handy later.
Here's one thing that you need to know about the 5S cycle. You need to complete the cycle from beginning to end before beginning a new one. Otherwise, you run into problems. Let me show you.
Do you have a problem with death piles? It's because you're really good at this, but you haven't moved on to the next part. Not having enough people showing up or returning to your shows or staying in your shows? Focus on this part right here. The more prepared you are here, the better you can do this part right here. So let me know, what areas of your 5S cycle are the problem areas? Put it in the comments and I'll make videos to help you with that. In the comments, I have seen people mentioning shipping, so I will be doing a video on how to ship and bundle your shipping on Whatnot. Also, I am going to be doing videos showing the behind the scenes process of our own 5S cycle, so follow for more.
Okay, so I think as I move forward in my presentation, I wrote on this slide, if you can dodge a goat, you can dodge a ball. Okay, Schwally, get your life together, girl. I think I misunderstood what story was. And I'll have to go back and look at the ebook and see what's in there. But based on this particular TikTok, I'm understanding story to mean that you keep track of your data, essentially. I'm pretty sure that that's what that means now. So let's see. Here is your... yeah, this is where I'm saying I think I may have gotten the story part wrong. So you source your inventory, you stage it, you show it, and you sell it. Then you ship it, and then you go back to sourcing. Story has two components, which I apparently am misunderstanding what it is. I thought it was like telling the story of what your inventory is, like, as you, yeah, whatever. I guess I didn't understand story, and I may still not understand story, but now I'm understanding it as being like tracking your data to make sure that you're improving where you can and whatever. I don't know. So in the ebook in general, everything is like, chapter 1 has a 1 system model. It has 4 components, but whatever. Chapter 2 is a 2 target strategy. Chapter 3, the triple ACE, the 4D mindset method. There's 4 Ds there. There's a 5S cycle, which is the S's that we just talked about. 6 steps to superfan sequence, 7 signals to success, 8 milestones, and then a 9-month commitment where I think he says something about like birthing a child. I don't know. I'm not saying the ebook doesn't have valuable information in it. What I will contend is that all of that information is available elsewhere for free. Okay? So I continue to contend that you can go to seller support shows on Whatnot. You can watch YouTube videos for free. There is one paid coaching course that I feel like is a pretty good accountability group from what I've heard, and that is Kaylee Elaine and Trash Panda's thrift group called Reseller's Edge. That is the only, I would say, reputable coaching course that I know of where you can pay for this information, and I believe you get more one-on-one attention and like, anyways, generally. And those folks make videos for free as well. So you don't even have to join their group, and you can get information about all of these different things for free from people like Kaylee Elaine, Trash Panda's Thrift. I have some favorite YouTubers that I watch all about reselling. I watch, who do I watch? I watch Becky Park a lot. I watch Lori Tata a lot. Who else do I watch? Rebecca Allison. I watch her a lot. Anyway, there's a lot of people that you can watch online for free, or you can buy this ebook for $20 to $25. I bought it for $25, and then the next week it was on sale for $20. So I was just like, okay, that sucks. Sucks for me and my extra $5, but we'll see how much it ends up costing in the relaunch, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. When you get to the concluding chapter of this ebook, it states that there is a recap of the systems, strategies, and mindset for building a 6-figure live reselling business. But if you'll recall earlier, the Live Reseller Pro Playbook says that they will get you ready to become a top 20% earner, which is $60,000 less than making a 6-figure live reselling business. So I'm not really positive what the deal is with their claims here. Maybe they're saying like, we have a 6-figure live reselling business, but we're only prepared to help you get ready to have a top 20%, which was like $38,000. So I don't know how they justify that discrepancy from like the summary to build a 6-figure and then the introduction area where they say we'll get you to the top 20%. I don't know. Maybe they have more to say about that. I don't know. So let's dive in and we'll see what this looks like in practice. Okay. Before I get into this, because it's going to be my opinions, I wanted to just take a moment in case Jennica and or Stephen are here. Just as a reminder, friends, my opinions cannot come through the screen and hurt you. You can just stop watching if you feel like you don't want to watch something that may be critical of you. You have the right to reply if you want in the comments. Nicole did on her video, and I mean, I respect that. It's fine. You can also ignore me, block me, or put a voodoo curse upon my offspring. I just would recommend that you don't get too upset. It's just a video. I'm just a stranger on the internet, and my intention is not to hurt your feelings. But if you're made of tougher stuff, and you feel like you have thick skin and you're, having a mentally well day and you want to continue watching and see what my feedback is, then maybe you could learn something. So as you saw, Stephen really promotes this process of the 5 S's, the dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge method, right? Source, stage, show, ship, and then story throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through Jennica's current selling model and how it maps onto this model here. So that's what we're going to do. So I did watch Jennica sell while I was creating this video just for like some inspiration. And what Jennica is doing currently is she is sourcing at the bins. Okay, so now we're just talking about the sourcing thing up there. Which is smart in my opinion, because Jennica only needs to actually buy the inventory that she sells in her live show. So she doesn't end up with an unnecessary death pile, like my massive freaking pile that fills my apartment. If something doesn't sell in her live show, she can either say, oh, I really like this. I want to do it on a traditional platform, but I'm pretty sure she and her husband burned the boats and like stopped doing any static postings anywhere. But basically there's no unnecessary overhead. If you're buying all your inventory after it already sells, like that's genius. That's literally genius. I love that. Okay. Now for staging, the ebook says that staging would be things like organizing and steaming and taking really great photos of your items to help them look their best. But when you're at the bins, like Jennica has been, you're not doing that. I mean, I don't think she's bringing like a steaming dealio into the bin so she can steam the pieces. I think she's just like pulling them out of the bins, stacking them, maybe hanging them. Like, I have no idea what the staging looks like, but I can tell you there's no spot treatment. There's no steaming. I don't even recall if she was putting pieces on hangers or if she was just holding them up. I can't recall. I know I saw her just holding pieces up, but there's a chance she also had some stuff hung up. Like, I feel like some of the blankets were like on a hanger or something. So staging, For the next one, showing. So she's actually doing her shows live in the bins. Okay. The ebook says that you need to plan your show in advance and to create an immersive experience for your customers. In terms of bringing customers into the bins, standing in front of like a brick wall and just showing people stuff that you found, I don't know that it gives people the thrifting experience at the bins the way that like if they just like dug through the bins or whatever. You know, you guys have seen like Adriel Cruz will take you into the thrift store and he'll like take you through the racks and say, does anyone want this? Anyone want this? Whatever. That's kind of, I don't know, that's kind of an immersive experience, but the ebook also suggests for you to have clear lighting, clear audio, and a nice background. I think Jennica does the best she can. But she's just standing in front of like a blank wall, holding up her pieces at the bins to sell them. So I don't know about that one. So I would say it doesn't seem like the showing is quite as, I mean, she looks fine. I think she looks fine. After digging in the bins for 8 hours, how presentable can you look? I think she does as well as she could. And then lastly is shipping, which you would have to, at the bins, you would then have to buy all of the inventory that's sold, take it home, and then package and ship it off. Now, as of yesterday, the 16th, Jennica has a 5-day ship time on Whatnot. Why would that be? Is that because shipping takes a while and she's not getting home until 6 or 7 at night, and then still has to have dinner with her kids and her family, take a shower, you know, put the kids to bed, relax? Like, I'm not sure, but I don't think Whatnot really wants you to take 5 days to ship. And I'm not really sure why she's doing that, except I'll get into later kind of why I think so. And I think it's a financial incentive that it just takes too long, and she would rather get back into sourcing, staging, and showing versus taking the time out to ship everything. That's my guess, because I think a week ago or so when I checked, she was at 4 days average ship time, and now she's at 5. So I kind of have the feeling that she's not really sticking to prompt shipping. And maybe it's because she's selling so much in her shows from the bins that it takes a long time. I don't know. So here's kind of my impressions on Jennica's live selling. I think she's engaging. I think she's personable. I think she engages with the chat well. I think she's got a great eye for products that her customers are going to like. I think that the sourcing model she has is really smart. She doesn't have unsellable inventory by virtue of only buying the stuff that sells in the show. And she doesn't end up with a death pile at home, which I think is good for your mental health, personally. It also means that she doesn't have a bunch of money out of pocket that she's not going to earn back. I will say, in my opinion, she is taking a very flexible approach to this model that is supposedly at the heart of success as a live seller. And I think she's making sacrifices on staging, showing, shipping, and story. Although now I'm understanding story is probably like data collection. But staging, show, and shipping are all taking a backseat to this improved sourcing model that means she doesn't have a death pile. That's pretty much how I see it. If you guys have been to her shows, please feel free to comment if you see it differently. But it seems to me like for the sourcing model that she's taking, which we'll talk about more, I think she's just sacrificing all the other S's to not have to have that overhead, not have to have that death pile, not to have, you know, the stress of a bunch of stuff. Then you don't have to take pictures of it or whatever. So with understanding the fact that she's maybe not sticking to a strict 5S model because they're not promptly shipping, because they're not really staging the items as much, showing is, you know, she's not in like a nice pristine background, like running the shows from her home. So how's it all working for her? And let's once again go to the goat's mouth, and let's listen to Jennica tell us the truth about being a live seller. And she is already giving us a forewarning that there's going to be a minor crash out here, and we're gonna watch her clips in chunks, and then I'm gonna talk to you about each of the clips. But I'll let her cook, as the kids say, for a while before I stop her. So we'll watch each of these clips, and then I'll talk to you about it.
Live sales is not for the faint of heart. I'm just outside of the Goodwill outlets this morning, really reflecting on my show this past weekend, and just kind of thinking about all of the people that want to do live sales. And I often think about what prevents people from doing it, because I get more questions than not of how to begin than those who are already doing it and need help. And I think what is really difficult about live sales is you have to be willing to look at yourself and take an inventory of what is working and what isn't. And I think some people who try to live sell, they really struggle with looking internally. Because when you're the only one on camera and you're the only one that is either producing sales or not, you have to look at yourself and figure out why. And that can be really scary for people. I totally get it. I was once there myself, and it can be difficult because no one wants to think that they're struggling in their lives selling business because of them. Everyone wants to point to everything else. Everyone wants to say, oh, it's the time of day I went live, or oh, it's because I didn't do promo, or it's because, no, it's because you didn't do something. It's because you are the only person in front of the camera who is responsible for the results.
Okay, so that's our first little clip, and I think I disagree with Jennica, because what I think I disagree with is that people saying, oh, I didn't promote the show, therefore I didn't have a great show. I don't think that's bucking responsibility. I think it's still saying, like, I didn't promote my show. Like, I do agree that promoting your shows is important, whether you're doing it on social media, whether you have a following here on TikTok or Instagram, and you want to, like, show people some of the stuff that you're going to be selling, or you want to say, like, hey guys, I'm a live seller. This is what I do. Here's my personality. If you like me, you can come spend more time with me while I do my show on Whatnot tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. You know, so I kind of see that as something that matters. I also think that the time of day does matter too, depending on your customer base. So maybe you're selling women's modern clothing. If you do your show at 2 p.m., maybe your customer base is still at work. Maybe it's better for you to do something early in the morning or later in the afternoon when people are going to be home from work. We also know that time zones matter, right? So I'm on the East Coast. So if I do a show at 9 p.m. Eastern, that's only 6 p.m. West Coast time, right? So I do think the time matters, and I don't see that as people bucking responsibility. I see that as people looking at, like, okay, well, what can I change? So I don't know that I agree with Jennica's examples. What is it about an individual that they should be doing to promote more sales? I think this argument would have been stronger if Jennica were to talk about something that live sellers are or aren't doing that does promote or dissuade people from buying from you. So for example, let's say she wanted to talk about her process of staging. If you show up, you're wearing a dirty t-shirt, your hair is like, just thrown up, you have no makeup on. And I'm not saying this, I'm just giving a suggestion. And your lighting is poor, your audio is poor, your internet connection is breaking up. People aren't going to want to stay in your show. They want to have the feeling that they're going to be getting clean inventory that doesn't, like, you can't be smoking a cigarette next to your inventory. That's something that you could be doing that could be screwing up your sales. You could be like me and say the F-bomb during your show, and maybe that turns people off. So that would be something you're doing that could be directly impacting whether people are comfortable to stay in your show and buy your stuff. But the examples that she's giving are like, I don't know. I also feel like in this clip, she's saying that she does take accountability. She used to maybe not take accountability, but now she's really good at looking at herself and figuring out what it is that she is or isn't doing to generate more sales. So she's not the problem anymore. She's great at just looking internally and looking at myself in the mirror and being like, Jennica, why didn't you make more sales today? Well, Jennica, it's because you picked a bunch of Uggo crap. Okay, Jennica, how do we get better inventory? Because I don't want Uggo crap. Well, other Jennica, you're going to have to look at some fashion blogs and see what's in style these days and try to stop it with the cold shoulders and go more for, little crochet pieces. Whatever it is. Like, I think that would have been more compelling. Let's look in the next clip.
And too often, live sellers get in front of the camera and they think it's everything else but them. And that sort of mentality is what keeps you stuck. And a lot of times I think that live sales puts us up against some of the edges in our lives that we're not willing to cross. And in order for us to truly resonate in live sales, is you have to push past those areas of discomfort and know that it's worth it on the other side. But too frequently, I see live sellers make excuses as to why they're not going on, or as to why their show only produced 3 sales. And that doesn't do anything for them, and it doesn't do anything for the people around them who are watching.
Okay, so here I'm wondering what the stimulus was. Like, what did she watch or listen to? Who did she talk to that has her feeling like live sellers often reject accountability for why things aren't going as well as they could or should? I'm curious about who's in her life making excuses that she doesn't like. And I wish she would just give us better examples of what those excuses are. Because as I mentioned, I kind of think that timing and not promoting your shows are good reasons that your show might not do well. And then you have to just say, okay, well, what time do I want to target based on my customer base? Maybe I need to DM my top customers and ask them what times they prefer for shows, and then, do morning and afternoon shows and compare my outcomes on those shows, and see where I'm making more money per minute, money per hour, whatever metric you want to use for a show being successful. Which show had more people in it? Which show had more customers? Which show had more engagement? Whatever it is you're looking for. But I'm just kind of wondering, what these excuses are that people are giving and where she's seeing that. In terms of making excuses for not going live, I relate to that hard, because I'll just be like, well, I'm not organized. I don't have things ready. And you could relate that back to the 5S model. I need to stage my stuff better in order to show it, right? So I'm identifying that part of my business, the staging, needs more work before I'm ready to show it. So I don't want to go live yet because I haven't done that part of the process. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you get it. But it just makes me curious. I'm just like, Jennica, who is it that's bothering you? Who's making excuses, and what are the specific excuses that they're making for either not going live or not making enough sales? And is that something workable? And is she talking about somebody who's smoking, swearing, and breastfeeding a naked baby while their partner scratches their balls and in the background. Like what? I'm just trying to figure it out. Okay. I'm curious. I want to know who it is. I want to know what their problem is. And I want to know like why it's frustrating. Like why are they not listening to her? This also kind of reminds me of, again, that multi-level marketing mindset where everything is like on you. And in MLMs, if you're not successful, the MLM huns will just say you're not hustling hard enough. You're not working hard enough. Like the system is perfect. You need to do more. And I don't like that. And it's just reminiscent for me. Anyways, let's continue on because I feel like the next clip is where things start getting weird. I'm not positive, but let's look. Yeah, I think this is where it's about to start getting a little bit sussy.
And I think live sales is it can be hard. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's all roses and I've never struggled a day in my life. I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling right now because the cost of greatness that I desire to achieve can be really lonely. And some of the people you love the most are not going with you. And I think that's one of the hardest things about aspiring to be great is the people in your life who are mediocre and who don't want to have greatness. They eventually fall off, turn on you, or simply just are no longer in your life. But that's the cost you have to be willing to pay for greatness. And I'm at 31,000 sales on Whatnot. And like, I'm not even close to where I want to be. Not even close. So it's like, some of the closest people to me, the closer I get to my goals and the closer I get to what I aspire to be, turn on you. The path to greatness is not for the faint of heart. The path to greatness in live sales is not for the faint of heart.
Whoo! Okay, first of all, you hate to see the girlies cry. I'm so sorry that you were having a hard day, Miss Jennica. I'm so sorry. That sucks. I hate it. I hate it for you. You hate to see the girlies cry. The girlies need to be able to cry. We have to cry when our feelings are overwhelming. Boys, non-binary babies, I love y'all. Y'all can cry. It's okay. I'm not shaming her for crying in this video. I feel sad. I feel sad for her that she's so overwhelmed and stressed out. But like, that aside, just to be clear, we're not shaming her or making her feel embarrassed for crying. Crying's okay. It broke my little heart a little bit. I was sad to see it. But then, who's betraying you in your personal life over reselling? What? The crash, this is the crash out where I'm just like, who in your life is over your job, which again is not an MLM. I will say again, it's not an MLM. So thank goodness, thank all of our cherry crackers. I have no idea where that just came from. But like, thank goodness she's not in an MLM, because I can see her being really vulnerable to the tactics and like taking on a lot of personal blame in that failing business model. So thank goodness. But who in her life is she needing support from that's turning on her that's a little wild. So in my personal experience, Dex doesn't want to live here because I've got shit everywhere. Dex and I, we're not together or anything, but I'm just saying, like, when we were together, it was stressful to have the death pile. I get that, right? But, like, would we have been able to work it out if like it was really stressful? I would have just gotten another storage unit if I needed my partner to, like, feel comfortable with all of the mess. I would have just gotten another storage unit. You know what I mean? Like, I would have taken it out of the house. I'm single. I live alone. So, like, for me, it's like, it can all be here. But my most recent partner, yes, was stressed out by having all of my inventory in our home. Not an issue that I think Jennica has, because once again, her current model is to just buy her stuff at the bins and only has to buy and bring home the stuff that she's immediately shipping out. So I don't get it. What other supports could she need that, like, she's not getting? I don't know. Maybe childcare? I'm thinking, like, family members that she would need for childcare while she's spending, 9 hours at the bins. But that, I'm assuming that Stephen is just doing that. I'm assuming that she's just able to count on her husband to do that because she's still married. And I think she has, this is completely based on the rest of this TikTok. I think she only has 2 of her kids, which I think are her 2 kids that she shares with Stephen. And I would never, I don't know or care about her family situation. I'm only bringing it up because it's in this video. And I left it in because she doesn't say their names or anything. But it sounds like she's got 2 kids with her at home right now. Is she not getting the support she needs to take care of the kids during the day? Like, I'm just so confused, and I want to know. I want to just, like, reach through the screen and wipe her little tears from her cute little face and just be like, Jennica, honey, who is turning on you? And why are they so important to you? And why are they involved? I just want to know. I want to know, because I bet if we had more context here, it would make more sense. But kind of like just thinking as a human being, the people that, so like, okay, so por ejemplo, my parents don't like my reselling business because it doesn't give me insurance. And I can tell that they're, like, disappointed in me because I have a PhD and I'm just sitting around selling clothes out of my apartment, right? Like, I get that. But, like, am I estranged from my parents? Am I, like, not able to, like, talk to them or count on them? No! When I defended my dissertation, they came and watched it, and I was like, hey guys, you have to sit in, like, on a pile of clothes to play sequence together with me. And they were like, okay, we'll sit on the pile of clothes. But, like, I don't know. I'm trying to, like, relate to her and figure out, like, who in my life could be that I want them to, like, be supportive of me, and they're not being supportive. I'm not figuring it out as an adult. Like, I pay my bills. The rest isn't your business. So, like, who is making her business their business, and they're having, like, this major falling out? I don't know. Anyways, let's watch more of the video. Maybe we can get some more clues. But this was the point at which I was like, honey, live selling is not worth losing people that you love in your life. Like, honey. And I don't mean to be, like, diminutive to her or, like, diminishing her. More just like, you hate to see the girlies cry. So, okay, let's see.
Even this morning, last night, woken up by my sweet little 3-year-old. My 9-year-old is struggling to sleep on her own. And we just, all night long, it is how we can be conducive and helpful to get our children to sleep. And so I'm tired. I'm here at 7:45 a.m. in the morning at the Goodwill outlet so I can go live. And these are the moments that you have to choose. You have to choose to be like, yep, I'm sleep deprived, Yup. I think I have an ear infection. Yup. I am not at my greatest. I'm not at my best, but I'm still gonna go and I'm still gonna do it. Because that is who I am. And that is what live sales is. And that is what scares people, because they have to truly test who they are. Not only test it, but you have to put it on camera. You've got to go on camera, and you've got to show people what you are made of.
Okay. No. Okay. So here's the thing. Jennica has some privileges that I don't have, and I have some privileges that Jennica doesn't have. Okay. So if I have an ear infection, I don't have to go live. Like, I don't have to. Now, Jennica has 2 children and possibly a husband that she's supporting. I feel like there's a chance that Stephen's either not working and is taking care of the kids, which is work as well. Childcare is work. But like not earning a separate income. And so she needs to make enough for a household of 4. That's completely speculation, but I can see why, as the supporter and provider for a household of 4, you would go to work with an ear infection. I don't have to do that because I could take off the morning and I could do a show in the afternoon or whatever. But that's one of the parts of live selling that does suck, is we don't have like sick days. You don't have paid time off. But I don't know that I agree that live selling in general requires you to go to work sick. I think it's one of the things that I appreciate the flexibility of live selling, because if I'm sick in the morning, I can wait and do my show in the afternoon. Right? Like, it just, I could do that. If I have a birthday party to go to, I can go do that instead of a show, and I can do my show later. I can, do my show early in the morning so that I can go to something in the afternoon. Whatever the case may be, I think there is a lot of flexibility in live sales. But maybe there's not in the current way that she's doing it, going to the bins and selling from the bins. Maybe she doesn't have as much flexibility there. And maybe things are really tight at home. And maybe she is the sole provider for a family of 4. Maybe that's what's going on. And that's why she has all this added pressure. And maybe the person who's not providing adequate support for her mental health and for her physical needs would be perhaps her husband or whoever she has, providing childcare. If they're giving her a hard time, yeah, that sucks. If she's the one bringing home the bacon and she doesn't have adequate support for the kids and stuff, yeah, that sucks. But I also feel like in those cases, like, you need a partner to step up for you. I don't have kids, so, that part's hard for me to relate to. But I see a lot in these relationships that I've seen online and in my personal life. Like, sometimes husbands don't show up for the kids and the wife the way he may need to. And I'm sad for Jennica if that's the case, that she's not getting adequate support at home, that she needs to be okay going out in the morning. Like, if she's getting guilt trips, or if she's the one who's having to stay up all night with the kids, even though she's the one going to work in the morning, that's messed up. And maybe that's what she's dealing with. But I don't think that's unique to live sales. I don't think it's germane to live sales. The part that's germane is having to be on camera, and having people see you. But I think most people, if I show up and I'm like, hey guys, I have bad cramps today. Hey guys, I have a bad headache today. People are very understanding, and they'll be like, okay, we understand that you don't have as much energy to give to us as the audience as you usually do, but just sell us the goods. Like, we're cool with it. That's, again, a benefit of live sales is, you have a relationship with most of the customers who are coming back and shopping with you. So I'm a little, again, I'm still just like, first of all, Jennica, like, I wish you could just take a little nap, hun. But second, like, who is not providing her the support? And why does she feel like this is like specific to live sales? Because I don't personally feel like it is. Okay, let's see what she has to say next.
And every show is not amazing. And every show tests you a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And you have to be like, I am the person that does it. I'm the person that touches the line. And I go and I get it and I do it. The number one fallacy in live sales is everyone believes they're a product-based business. You are not a product-based business. You are a process-based business. Yes, product is a part of it. But your product might not be as good as you think it is. That's why low start, you get market feedback, and you get to understand what your sourcing ability is. Are you sourcing items that your market wants? Not what you want, but what your market wants. Are you sourcing those things? And are you figuring out what those things are? Because too frequently I see sellers get super cocky and super big-headed, being like, I know what my market wants. No, you don't. No, you don't.
What a turn! What a turn from the previous clip where she's like, I'm having a bad day. My kids were up all night. I have an ear infection. I'm tired. And now she's like, you have bad inventory and you don't even know it. You won't even admit that you suck. Just like, what? Didn't it kind of feel like you're not a product-based business, you're a process-based business? Didn't that kind of feel like it just kind of came out of nowhere? And she started getting kind of like aggressive toward the viewer. Like before that, I feel like she was kind of like talking to herself through some like personal strife. But now she's just like mad at you. Like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. My inventory is bangers. I don't know, man. I just feel like she just took a turn there. Like, the first turn was going from like, live sales is not for the faint of heart. I'm having a bad day and people in my life are turning on me. And your inventory sucks. I don't know. Okay, let's let her cook. Let's see what she's got next.
And my apologies to anyone who is coming on to this video being like, what is this woman talking about? I'm just trying to keep it real. I'm trying to be like, live sales is not for the faint of heart. But it will test you. It will try you. It will make you a sharper, better person in every area of your life. It is the biggest self-help program ever. Because the proof is in each show. Are you getting better? Or are you getting worse? Are you measuring your data? Are you measuring what it is that you are doing in every life? Are you understanding what sells and what doesn't sell through your market data? And if you're not, you need to be doing it. Your sourcing and what you're picking up may not be as good as you think. And you have to be willing to be like, I'm going to humble myself and I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to literally get out of my own way. Humbling yourself is hard, especially if you've been in the game for a really long time and you're a traditional reseller and you source for eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Depop, but you're market data for those arenas and for those platforms are so slow that even if you have an incredible sell-through rate for your traditional reselling business, in live sales, it's completely different. You cannot take a traditional reselling mindset and apply it to live sales. Because in traditional reselling, your product is your asset. And in live sales, your relationship with your buyer is your asset. And if you could just understand that, you would soar. You would soar. And it's a refining fire. It just refines you over and over and over and over again. And some people are really, really uncomfortable with that. And I get it. But it's days like today when you're sleep deprived, you're emotional, your head is not in the best place, but you still say, I am here, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to go live. That is the measure of greatness. Is when no one is watching, when no one knows the circumstances, when no one knows what you're up against, do you still choose to do it? And in that is greatness. You will find your greatness. And not everyone will come with you. And you have to be okay with that. Not even your old self can come with you. Anyways, rant over. I will be live today. If anyone wants to come, I'll be live at 3:45 Mountain Standard Time from the bins, and I'll be in a way better mood than I am right now. I promise. But I just had some things to say. I think it's going to be really helpful. And honestly, I just want to show like the truth of like what live sales is and where people can be at with it and what you can experience. And I love you, and I hope this was helpful.
Okay. Helpful to who? What was the helpful part? Okay, so I disagreed a couple of times in the course of that. I don't agree that live selling is a refining fire that makes you better and better and better, because I've seen people just get worse and worse in terms of like their personality and the way that they engage with their customers. They get entitled and they crash out, and they're just like, they like go off, and I'm just like, whoa, it's not that deep. You're selling like t-shirts. Calm down. She also said, again, like, not everyone is coming with you. I don't see why not. So I'm still kind of confused as to who in her life is, like, not keeping up with the Kardashians. Like, who's, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know what's going on in her personal life. It's obviously something, but it felt like that was a combination of, like, self-talk to try to, like, hype herself up and be like, I'm pursuing greatness. I need to be here even when I don't feel good. I need to do it anyway. I got to keep pushing. I have a family to feed. I got this stuff to do. And that's cool. But then it kind of comes off like she's aggressively telling us you're not good at sourcing and you need to humble yourself and do lower starts and get market data and then figure out what to get next. But I also feel like at the bins, you're at the mercy of whatever is at the bins. Like, you don't get to decide like what you're going to find. I feel like you need to know a lot of information, which I guess you can get from your market. But if it's your first time finding Magnolia Pearl and you've never found it before and you don't know if it's good or not because you've never sold it before, and you're just like, well, I've never sold it before, so my market data, I don't have any market data on this, so I'm just not even going to try it. Like that would not be beneficial to your business. So I don't know. I think that you need to do that kind of market data, whether you have a static or a live platform as well. I mean, I think like you can look at your data even if you have a static platform and follow the same kind of process. And I think we've seen a lot of live sellers do that, or a lot of traditional resellers do that, where they come back in 3 months and they say what sold and what didn't sell from this particular haul that I showed you. I don't know. I feel like this video is a weird, like, self-help, personal reflection, and then this, like, sharp left turn into, you're a process-based business. And I feel like she just threw that in there because she was like, oh shit, my talking points. I'm supposed to be selling this, like, ebook and course mentality. But really, I'm just tired because I didn't get help with my, like, 3-year-old and my 9-year-old who couldn't sleep last night. And I think I have an ear infection. I don't feel good. Like, it was just, I don't know. Please let me know what your thoughts are on that whole video. It's still available on her TikTok. I might not have reacted to it if it weren't still up there, but it's still up there, so she's cool with it being out there. Those are just kind of my reactions. I thought it was a little all over the place, and she did even put, you know, just a minor crash out, so she knows, she's aware, she's okay with sharing her vulnerability with us. And again, I'm sad for her that she was so stressed out. At the same time, why is she yelling at me that my inventory is not as good as I think it is? Like, it just feels a little personal. It feels like she's projecting. You know what I mean? So anyways, let's see what I have next. So what I have next is, why should you care? Like, why should you care what these two are saying? Well, they have an upcoming Whatnot show. It's scheduled for this Sunday. It's also been scheduled for the past 2 Sundays, and they have punted and moved it later and later. But they're going to be selling you on Stephen's expertise in the form of a live Reseller Pro class, or the ebook, or something else. And what they've done in the past, and I know because, like I said before, I bought the ebook. It was $20 to $25. And then they were also selling this coaching membership. And it was $97, and it was this, like, lifetime membership or a monthly membership. I'm not really sure. And they had you get access to this community called School, where they would post live streams doing these, like, coaching calls. He called it a masterclass in live reselling. I would be in their chats being like, why is this a masterclass if you're just making $100,000 and that's revenue? That's not profit. That's not your actual earnings. And there's 2 of you. And it's a lot closer to that $38,000 if you really break it apart by, like, you know, a lot of times he would pitch it like it's our business, but in my opinion, it's Jennica's business. And then Stephen's just there. Like, you don't see him helping source. You don't see him helping stage. You don't see him help show. Maybe he's doing the shipping. Maybe. But then why is it taking 5 days? I don't know. Anyways, so the school was, I had access to the school, and it was basically like a chat board. And then there were pieces of it that you would have access to if you paid the $97. And I had access just from buying the ebook. So I had access to, like, the chats and the comment threads and stuff like that. Jennica and Stephen would post in there, like, you know, hey guys, we're doing a new raid train. Hey guys, we're doing this, we're doing that. You could only do the raid trains if you had paid the membership fee. Otherwise, you weren't allowed to do it. It was only for, like, the premium members. So they were selling access to raid trains, which you're not supposed to do on Whatnot, but they did it anyway. And yeah, School was just supposed to be their, like, immersive community for getting help as live sellers, getting access to their recorded calls, which I think they did. I think they did them pretty regularly. I don't know what the contents were, but they would just do, like, an hour or 2 on shipping, or an hour or two on other topics. I don't really know what the other topics were, but Stephen would do these live shows where he would like take you through the S's, take you through the D's, take you through, you know, the other components, and try to sell you on buying the ebook or sell you on paying into the course. And they would say, you know, you want to get in before live selling hits the United States because it hasn't gotten really huge here yet like it has in China. I don't know. It's all a sales pitch in my opinion. So what happens when you join the school? Well, as of March 2025, this is what Jennica and Stephen had to say. I think Jennica posted this on the school site in March. Okay, so hi, Live Reseller Pro family. We want to take a moment to acknowledge our recent silence and let you know where we're at. Over the last month, Stephen and I have been walking through a very personal and intense season, one that has required our full emotional, spiritual, and physical attention. After sharing pieces of our story with people who didn't know how to hold it, we've learned that some chapters are meant to be protected, not explained. Out of love and respect for this community, we have chosen to remain quiet about the details. So what I'm reading here so far is that Stephen and Jennica stopped posting on their school community, SKOOL, whatever that app is, and said they haven't been participating. And here, let's tell you why. And what we're going to tell you is we're not going to tell you. We're going through some stuff. We need to protect it. We're not explaining it. Out of love and respect for this community, we've chosen to remain quiet about the details. I don't think so. I think it's out of love and respect and a desire for your own privacy and potentially not wanting to get critical feedback from members of your lifetime community on why you're not posting and not participating in the community. You're saying that you're not going to explain yourselves. That said, everything we've promised since launching this group, we have delivered. From intensive trainings and coaching calls to raid train support and community, we've poured our hearts into building something real, impactful, and full of vision. Right now, we simply need to become grounded and clear on how to bring the most value to you all. Stephen especially needed to take a step back and reflect and seek God about the direction of Live Reseller Pro. And he's now, in March, moving forward with fresh vision and steady pace. Just so you guys know, it's September now, so it's been 6 months. So it's been 6 months. And by the way, this was posted at the end of March, and the school community was archived in May. We just need a little more time. We're not sure how long, but please know that we will be back. And when we return, we will return with renewed clarity, energy, and purpose, fully ready to serve and lead you in the way we feel called to. If during this time you felt distant from us, we understand. You haven't been present. You said recent silence. That means you weren't there. So obviously people would feel distant from you. And if you feel led to step away from the group, we something and honor that. I didn't like this, again, because people paid $97 for a membership, like a lifetime membership, and then the community started falling apart months later. Okay, so here's the message continued. But if you're still here, still invested, and still believing in what this community can be, you have our full heart, except for an explanation, and we're excited to reconnect with clear direction and renewed purpose. Here's my favorite paragraph in the whole thing. We also want to gently share this. In order to keep this community loving, uplifting, and safe for everyone, we ask that all questions, thoughts, or concerns be brought to us directly. After they just told you they're not going to explain what's going on. Make sure to bring your concerns directly to them so they can tell you no comment. This group is built on honor, compassion, and trust. and we are committed to maintaining a culture of mutual respect. Gossip or side conversations that create confusion or division quietly undermine the heart of this space. So we're not going to tell you anything, but don't talk to each other about it either, because even though you might feel blindsided by the fact that we're closing down shop after you spent $97 on your membership, we don't want you to talk to each other or be confused or divided. I don't know. We want Live Reseller Pro to remain a place of growth, encouragement, and unity where everyone feels seen, supported, and safe. But by the way, we're shutting down all modes of communication and archiving this community as of May 2025 so that nobody can continue to communicate with each other unless you start side conversations. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to read the rest. You can pause it and read it. I didn't like this. I felt like it was dismissive. And I feel like it is saying, like, we gave you a lifetime experience in the past few months, and that should be enough for you. And the fact that we're stepping away from you as a community and as your coaches, deal with it, just respect it. And if you don't deal with it and respect it, you're making it unsafe and you're causing confusion and division. So I didn't like that. So how do their community members feel? Are they satisfied? I don't know. I have heard that some of the people who were involved in the group before this March message had started creating their own side groups and doing some of the things that they weren't feeling were met within the community. I don't know that to be true. I don't have like screenshots or anything. So if you were somebody who paid into Making Grace Vintage's coaching course, did you get what you wanted out of it? If you did, that's great. I'm happy for you. If you got $97 of value out of the months that the program was running, awesome. Let us know in the comments below. If you didn't, let us know in the comments below. I don't know how many total members were in there. I feel like it was like 40 to 60 members at the time that I was like participating in the chat. So $4,000 to $6,000 or $7,000 ish. Anyways, one of my main concerns is Stephen a pro? Like, I feel like his main claim to fame is right there. He's married to Jennica. And Jenica's out here doing the stuff. She's doing the hard work. She's pursuing greatness. And what is Stephen doing? He is positioning himself as like a professional and an expert, but he's not the one doing it, in my opinion. And you can see I screenshotted this back in January when he had shows. I don't know. I feel like Jenica is she's the golden egg here. And I feel like Stephen is trying to be like, she's the goose laying the golden eggs, and Stephen's like trying to polish up the golden eggs and be like, look, I polished it. I made it so much better. And I'm like, no, Jenica's the talent here. And I don't know, based on her emotional, again, it's completely speculation, but I don't know if he's giving her the support that she needs. I wish he would be a pro spouse and supporter of her, so that she doesn't feel like she has to cry on her TikTok before she goes into the bins because maybe you took care of the kids so that she wasn't exhausted before going to work for 9 hours. Maybe that's what I think. I don't know. So here's a few more opinions. Oh my God. You can pause this if you want, but basically, you know, earlier they made the claim in their book that live sales is different from trading your time for money. It's not. I figured out some math that makes Jenica $150,000 a year if she runs 5 shows a week, making $600 profit per show. That's great. I love that for her. But again, it's taking 7 to 8 hours of sourcing plus another 2 hours of selling plus maybe another 2 hours of shipping. So it's certainly not limited to an 8-hour day getting benefits. I think it's a lot more time. And maybe not as flexible on her time as she would have thought, because if she had flexibility, she wouldn't have to go to work when she had an ear infection, in my opinion. Their claim is that you are a process-based business if you are a live seller. But I just want to remind everyone that no matter what your process may be, your ability to source at places like the bins or Goodwill is not just dependent on you like following a process. Your sourcing is dependent on what people are donating, what people are liquidating, what people are getting rid of. If the market data tells you that your best selling stuff is Magnolia Pearl, good luck finding more Magnolia Pearl just because that's what your process told you was the best seller. Good luck finding more of it just because you know that you need to find more of it. It doesn't change what you're able to find. It may change what you pick up. But again, Jenica's not picking stuff up anyway. She's picking things up and she's not actually investing to buy it unless it already sells anyway. So one place you can go and sell stuff before you have to buy it as a reseller. And again, I think that's really smart. They also point out in the ebook, I say they, but probably more Stephen, points out in the ebook that, revenue is what's important. It's not. Profit is what's important. If you buy a shirt at the thrift store for $95, you sell it for $100, you've generated $100 in revenue. Good. You made $5. If you buy a shirt at the thrift store for $5 and you sell it for $100, the revenue is the same. It's still $100, but you're profiting $95. Revenue doesn't mean shit. The same revenue can be generated with wildly different profit margins. So revenue doesn't mean anything to us. I don't care if you're earning, I don't care if your revenue is $145,000. If your cost was $135,000, you made $10,000. I don't know if I'm just being obtuse and I'm bad at math, but I don't think revenue means shit. Lastly, I would love to hear your comments, your thoughts, your critiques. Actually, you know what? I'll record an actual outro. So I'll be, oh my God, it's been an hour and a half. Ah! I'll see you in full screen. Hey y'all, I sincerely doubt anyone is left at this point because it's been such a long video, but on the off chance you're here, thank you so much for spending the time with me and listening to me sort of pull apart some pieces of this Stephen Jenica combo. I feel like one of the things that they also aren't really thinking of are all of the other models of business that live sellers follow. So for example, live sellers also buy pallets. Live sellers also do liquidation kinds of sourcing. And I think that Jennica and Stephen exclusively think of sourcing via thrifting and individually choosing products, which is not, in my opinion, the way some of the biggest 0.16% sellers on Whatnot, the people who are making hundreds and millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, I don't think they're even considering that that's another viable business model. And probably one of the ways that it's possible to scale by minimizing your time spent sourcing and maximizing your time selling. Okay. I also think that when Jenica says things like, humble yourself, low starts, get market data, I think that works depending on your business model, right? If your cost of goods is $1 to $2, then yeah, $5 starts works for you. If your cost of goods is $7 to $20, then no, low starts are going to look different for you. So I just kind of feel like they have a narrow view of live selling in general, but they're selling you on a masterclass and an expansive sort of offering that they understand live selling at a pro level, when I don't think they're fully considering the actual entirety of what live selling is. And I think they're using their limited experience to generalize to an audience that, again, I think their target audience is people who are struggling with live sales. I always say sells, live sales or live selling. And I think that the only people who are going to pay into their coaching model are people who are struggling to get to the next level or people who are wanting to start. And again, I think it's just a little bit short-sighted to advertise yourself as an expert when you might have done very well in one of many different options for live selling. So I find it a little bit disingenuous. I think that, you know, they maybe need to refine their sales pitch and do a lot more, as they would say, market research to understand what's available. I remember asking, sorry, hang on a second. Panda needs his toy. I remember being in their live shows and asking a lot of questions and being like, well, you know, how does your live selling masterclass differ? How does your membership differ from the other free information that's available online, including from other live sellers like Mantra 911 and Candace Common Cloth, who do, you know, seller support shows? And I remember Stephen being like, oh, I don't know about what those people are talking about. And I'm like, that's because you haven't done your market research. You're not understanding what information is available community wide. You're just coming in and trying to sell a product to vulnerable people who are having a hard time adjusting. You know, that's who his pitch is designed for. But live selling from the bins is only an opportunity for people who live near the bins. And I think like the idea of running just like super low starts and getting market data can only work so long. Then your market data should indicate what you can run for higher. But Jennica is still running her $5 starts, right? And if the market, what's interesting about that is like the market that she has on an individual show basis differs, right? Her 10 or 15 or 20 buying customers may shift and change depending on their schedules and who's available to be there. So I also think that that's a big difference between what they say and don't say is when you do static listing, your listings are available to a broad market and your job is to optimize your listing so it gets in front of as many buyers as possible. When you're doing a live show, your items, particularly when you don't have anything listed and it's just a random poll, you're only showing that item to the people who are in the room right now. Okay, so if you have 20 people in your room, you have 20 potential customers to bid up the price to where the market value of that item is. So for example, this Aviator Nation sweatshirt right here. If I only have 20 people in my room, what are the chances that I'm going to have at least 2 people that are a size medium who like Aviator Nation and knows that it retails for a lot to bid that item up? If I started at $5, if I happen to do a show when no Aviator Nation fans are present, I'm going to sell it for $5. But for example, if I take that same piece and I bring it to Poshmark and I say, like, let's say I list it for $70, assuming my cost is the same, right? Now I'm broadening my audience to people who know the brand, value the brand, more people who are a size medium. I'm not limiting myself to just 70 people. Now, if all I'm trying to say is that I think it's very reductive to dichotomize only live sales versus only static selling. I think both are valuable. I think the traditional models are valuable. I think live selling is valuable. I personally do both. Their argument has been in the past to burn the boats and don't do eBay anymore, don't do Poshmark anymore, just do live sales. If you're going to do live sales, just do live sales. I personally don't do it that way. And maybe Jennica makes way more money than me, so maybe you should listen to her because money is all we care about, right? Like maybe you shouldn't listen to my opinions, but you're already here doing it anyway if you're still here. So I'm just saying you can there's more than one way to skin the proverbial cat. We would never skin a real cat. We like cats. Anyways, okay. So what are we at? Like 2 hours? We're nearing 2 hours. That's ridiculous. If you would like to hear me continue to share my thoughts, I would love to do so. Again, no hate to these folks, but I think their sales pitch needs work. And I personally don't think if you are struggling in your reselling business that you should pay them. I don't think the information you can get from them is worth $97, which is what they've charged in the past. I think they now have a track record for starting and then stopping, as opposed to being consistently available for your needs as a consumer of their live reselling pro class, their masterclass. So I would say proceed with caution. I would also say go shop with Jennica if you like her inventory and you like her personality and you like her style. I don't have any problems with Jennica's live reselling business. Even the fact that she's like double the shipping window that we're supposed to go for. Okay. Like, I'm sure that's temporary, and I hope she fixes it and gets it down to 2 days, which is what Whatnot wants from you. But yeah, go shop with her. But would I recommend that you pay Stephen to teach you how to live sell when I have not seen evidence that he is a live selling pro that he claims to be, nor that they are strictly adhering to this core 5S reselling model that is the process that drives the business? I don't think so. I kind of think they're a little bit full honky. I don't think so. So I don't think you should pay for it. I don't think you should buy into it. I have no critiques of Jennica other than sometimes maybe you need to tell your spouse no. If he's trying to say like, I want to be the coach, no. I would say no. I go back to your account executive position where you're making 6 figures. 2 6-figure incomes for your household would be so beneficial. There's some gossip about these folks available on Reddit. I don't know it to be true. I haven't seen what these folks on Reddit sort of claimed, although it was multiple people saying that they had seen these folks like asking for donations for their family, kind of suggesting that the live reselling business wasn't doing as well as it should or could. I do feel like if you're making like the amount of money that justifies selling a class as like a master class and saying I'm a pro, if you're saying you're a pro at something, you shouldn't probably have to have like a GoFundMe or like ask people for donations. I don't think there's anything wrong with struggling financially. I just think you can't struggle financially on the one hand and then advertise your success as the pitch for people to pay you to coach them to be as successful as you are when you're not actually that successful. Because if you were actually that successful, you wouldn't have to ask people for money. I don't know. I don't know if I'm being out of pocket here. Please share your thoughts and comments in the comment section. I will look forward to talking to you. I am a nobody on the internet. And again, Jennica, Stephen, my opinions can't hurt you. I can't come through the phone. I'm just sharing my opinions here. And I don't wish you poorly. I wish you the best, just not at anybody else's expense. And that's that. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh, like the video, subscribe to my channel because I'll probably make more content. Okay, bye.